All right, guys, welcome to the Unit 4 Section 1 video. In Unit 4 Section 1, we are building on what we did with solving one-step equations. We're going to move on to solving two-step equations. So again, we're just amping it up a little bit. Make sure if you have any questions, you ask your teacher. So the first thing says checking possible solutions. The directions say tell whether the given value of the variable is a solution of the equation. So if you look, we have the equation negative 15 equals negative 3x plus 15, and then it says x equals 5. So what we're doing is trying to plug in and see if x equals 5 or if x equals 5 is a solution. So what we're going to do is we're going to rewrite the equation. So I have negative 15 equals negative 3, and I'm going to plug in 5 for x plus 15. Now I'm just going to work out this right side. So I have negative 15 equals negative 15 plus 15. Negative 15 plus 15 is 0. So now I just need to look at it and see, is negative 15 equal to 0? That is not, so I know that this is not a solution. For the next one, we have x divided by 5 minus 6 equals negative 2. And then the value that we're testing out is 20 for x. So I'm going to plug in 20 for x. So I'll have 20 over 5 minus 6 equals negative 2. Fraction means I'm dividing. 20 divided by 5 is 4. 4 minus 6 is negative 2. So I get negative 2 equals negative 2, which is a true statement. So I know that 20 is a solution. All right, so I'm going to leave 3 and 4 for you to try. Again, you're just plugging in that value for x, working it out, and seeing if you get the same thing on both sides. So now if you look down at the bottom of the page, we're actually going to work on solving two-step equations. So when we solve two-step equations, we're always going to want to add or subtract first, and then we're going to multiply or divide, depending on what we have. So if you look at our first example, it says 7x plus 12 equals 26. Remember, with all of these, our goal is to get the variable by itself. So our variable is on the left side of the equation. And we have 7x plus 12. So again, we're going to add or subtract first. We have a positive 12, so we need to subtract 12 from both sides. So we'll get 7x equals 14. Then after I add or subtract, I'm going to multiply or divide. In this case, I have 7 times x. So to undo that multiplication, I'm going to divide both sides by 7. And I'll get x equals 2. Just like when we did one-step equations, we can plug in our answer to check it. So I'm going to plug 2 in for x. So 7 times 2 is 14. 14 plus 12 is 26, so I have 26 equals 26, so I know that I got that correct. All right, I'm going to go ahead and work out number 2. Just so I have some more room, I'm going to write that over here to the left a little bit. So I have negative 10 equals 6x minus 16. The goal is to get the variable by itself, so I go to the right side because that's where my x is. I have 6x minus 16. Since I have subtraction, I'm going to add 16 to both sides. So negative 10 plus 16 is 6. And then I have 6x on the right side. I added or subtracted. In this case, I added, so now I need to multiply or divide. In this case, I'm going to divide to get x by itself. So I'll get 1 equals x. When I plug that into check, I get negative 10 equals 6 times 1 minus 16. Negative 10 equals 6 minus 16. And so I wind up with negative 10 equals negative 10. So I know I did it correctly. All right, moving on to number 3. So I have 3 equals x divided by 25 plus 6. Again, my first step is to either add or subtract. In this case, my variable is on the right side, and I have x over 25 plus 6. To undo that addition, I need to subtract 6 from both sides. 3 minus 6 is negative 3, and then I'll have x over 25 on the other side. I subtracted, now I need to either multiply or divide. I have a fraction right now, which is division, so I know I need to multiply to get the variable by itself. So 25 times 3 is negative 75. And on the right side, I'll just have x. So negative 75 equals x. Plugging that in to check, I have negative 75 divided by 25, which is negative 3. Negative 3 plus 6 is 3, so I know I've got the correct answer. All right, I'm going to leave number 4 there for you guys to try. If you need any help, just ask your teacher. On the back side of your notes, we are solving equations with negative coefficients. So we're still working with two-step equations, which means we're either going to add or subtract, and then multiply or divide. So if you look at our first example, we have 25 minus 3x equals negative 8. I go to the side with the variable. I go to the left side. I have a positive 25 over there. So to undo that, I'm going to subtract 25 on both sides. So I'll wind up with negative 3x. Make sure that negative sign comes down with it from the subtraction, equals negative 33. I have negative 3 times x on the left side. So to undo that multiplication, I'm going to divide both sides by negative 3. And I'll get x equals positive 11. Negative divided by negative is a positive. Now I can plug that into check. So I have 25 minus 3 times 11 equals negative 8. So I have 25 minus 33, which is negative 8. So I know I worked that out correctly. Number 2, I'm going to leave for you guys. So go ahead and pause the video if you need to. I'm going to drop down here and do number 3, just to give you a different type of example. So we have negative 14 equals negative 22 minus x over 3. I go to the right side because that's where my variable is. I have a negative 22, so I need to add 22 to both sides. Negative 14 plus 22 is positive 8. And so I'll have positive 8 equals negative x over 3. Remember to hold on to that negative, it's still there. Okay. A fraction is division, so to undo division, I'm going to multiply. I also have a negative there, so I'm going to divide by negative 3 on both sides. So negative 3 times 8 is negative 24. The negatives cancel out, and these 3's cancel each other out, so I only have an x left over. So I get negative 24 equals x. I can plug that into check, so I'll have negative 14 equals negative 22 minus negative 24 over 3. Make sure you're keeping track of all those negatives. So I have negative 14 equals negative 22. I have subtraction. Negative 24 divided by 3 is negative 8. So that minus a negative becomes plus a positive. So I have negative 14 equals negative 22 plus 8, which is negative 14. So I know I'm good there. I'm going to leave number 4 for you guys. So you guys try number 2 and number 4. If you have any help, just ask. In the next section, we are looking at a couple word problems where we need to write and solve a two-step equation. So number 1 says 15 people volunteer for a park cleanup. The number of volunteers increases by 7 people each month for several months. How many months will there be? After how many months will there be 50 volunteers? So we know that we're starting with 15 volunteers. We have 7, it's increasing by 7 each month. And we want to wind up with 50 total volunteers. Now 15 people is already there, so there's no variable that goes with that. We want to add the 7 people that come in each month, but we don't know how many months, so we need to put a variable in there. So we have the 15 people who already volunteered. We're adding 7 each month. We want to know how long it gets to get a total of 50 volunteers. So now we can solve this two-step equation. We have to add or subtract first. In this case, we have a positive 15, so we're going to subtract 15 from both sides. We'll get 7m equals 35. Then we need to multiply or divide. In this case, we're already multiplying, so we're going to divide by 7, and we'll get m equals 5. So in 5 months, there will be 50 volunteers. I'm going to leave number 2 for you guys. Just give it a try. Again, like always, if you get stuck, feel free to ask your teacher. Then on the last page of these notes, we've got some review problems for you. I'm working on distributed property. So just a quick refresher. distributive property means I'm going to do 11 times 6z and 11 times 14. So 11 times 6z is 66z. I have an addition sign. 11 times 14 is 154. For the next one, I'm doing 8 times 4, which is 32. Then I have a subtraction sign, and then doing 8 times 7w, which is 56w. So remember that subtraction sign needs to come down with it. All right, I'll leave number 3 for you guys. Give it a try. That's all for the Unit 4 Section 1 video.